if you're fighting with the guy who everybody thinks, ooh, that was a tough guy.
Oh, the big dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would fight with, and my mentality was, even if I get hit, I'm going to get some good shots in that he won't want to fight me again.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Harry
And Carson.
with the Pillars Podcast.
Real talk for real growth.
Let's dive in. Carson, how you doing today?
Good. Glad to be back here.
Oh, yes. I'm glad to be able to talk to you about what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
We're talking about warriors, being a spiritual warrior, being able to fight in a spiritual way, to be strong in, as many might say, bad. Bleep.
I love it.
Have you ever, when you grew up, did you ever get in fights?
Yeah, I've been in two.
2 fights?
Physical, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did you feel when you knew or were involved in the fight? What was it like for you?
Oh my gosh. It was like fight or flight.
Yeah.
When you have no like training experience, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, but you also know I'm not backing out of this thing, or else I'm a coward.
Yeah. So you weren't backing out.
No way. Are you kidding me? Come on.
So
If I'm going to give my freaking butt beat, then I'm going to give my butt beat, all right?
But so did you ever wrestle with your brothers? Did you?
Yeah,
with
that's
your
my
brothers all the
training.
time? That absolutely. I feel sorry for people who don't have siblings that they fight with, because if you don't have siblings to fight with, you're probably gonna wimp.
That's like basic knowing the ropes. And I was the youngest, so I would get freaking dogged on all the time, for real.
And I was the oldest, so I got to be able to.
You were the one giving it out. Yeah.
I have 4 brothers, and
Oh my goodness.
and whenever we wrestled around the house, it was always me and the younger brothers against like maybe the 2 other ones, and so it would be the bigger middle ones and me, and just the little one who I'm kind of basically trying to not get him to mess around and cause me to get in more peril.
Okay, gotcha.
But I learned to fight with them, and they wouldn't let up on me, and I had cousins that we got to fight with and everything, and so I developed a mentality of fight and dominate very early. I remember getting in fights in elementary school, in junior high, and by the time I got to high school, nobody would fight me anymore. I mean, we traveled and went around the different cities, and every city that we went to knew it's what happens. People are going to challenge you. And I had 4 younger siblings, so I knew if I let somebody dominate me, it's going to roll downhill, and my siblings are going to feel it. And so I learned very quickly, if you're saying let's fight, the fight happens, and you missed it. Because it was like, we're on right now.
Yeah.
And when I went to new cities and I did that, then people would go, wow, yeah, maybe we don't want to fight him.
That kind of sets the tone.
Yeah, it sets the tone, especially if you're fighting with the guy who everybody thinks, ooh, that was a tough guy.
Oh, the big dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would fight with, and my mentality was, even if I get hit, I'm going to get some good shots in that he won't want to fight me again.
Yeah.
It was just that mentality. And so I've adapted that into where I think about a spiritual walk, because we're in a spiritual battle, and we're in a battle against a dominant force out there who is against what it is that we believe in, and is against, in many ways, against truth. And for us to be men of God, we've got to have a lot of courage to be willing to stand up and fight. But we're not fighting, with our human muscles. Yeah. We're fighting from the strength of the God of all creation.
Yeah, of our
the
spirit.
Most powerful entity. So that should give us even more courage when we fight against
what's like an example of spiritual warfare?
Oh, it's a good example. Well, one is what we don't see, right?
Right.
The powers of the forces that are happening against us. Things are happening in our life that aren't working, or we see things happening in a different part of the world that are destroying people, or an evil that is taking place in a community or in an institution or something like that. Spiritual forces are happening around us. And so when we see those things, we're encouraged to pray on behalf of those things, to pray earnestly, because we're not, our prayers are just words that are just floating in the ether. Our prayers are a direct line to the God of all creation, all powerful. The Bible in many ways calls him the armies of the
the armies of the heavens, of the hosts,
king's heavenly hosts, the armies of like I can't think of that right now, but heaven's armies.
Yeah.
He is the king of all of that. He is powerful, and not only that, he can simply speak a word, and it will happen. So our prayers we're asked, encouraged to say the prayers to initiate his will on earth and these things, so we get to stand in that gap. So that's in the spiritual realm where we're talking, but also where that comes into very practicalness for us to be being courageous is to stand in opposition to truth.
Yeah.
And our world is
that one's huge.
Is leading in a different direction.
It's a world
around us,
full of lies.
Even more so today. When we think about it, we've got artificial intelligence that can spit out answers for us, but there's somebody underneath who has algorithms that persuade one way or the other.
Yeah.
And when Jesus came into the world and he was going to be crucified before Pilate, he says, "Why are you here? What is your purpose?" You know what Jesus said? He said, "I came to testify of the truth." He could have said, I came to die and save people of their sins and everything, but he came to testify of the truth. Yeah. He came to the core of what it is, and to testify of the truth. You know how imperative that is in regards to salvation anyway? Let's go back to the very, very beginning.
Enlighten me.
Why did the world fall? Why did the mankind fall?
Adam.
And how did that occur?
By disobeying God. Eve disobeyed God.
Who caused them to disobey?
The devil, the serpent.
By doing what?
By tempting them. By telling them that they should eat of what God told them they shouldn't.
Told them the truth, right?
Yeah. Or no, he lied. Sorry, he lied.
He lied.
He lied.
At the very start, and Jesus told them before. He said, "You're even the righteous leaders." He told them, "You are of your devil, the liar."
Yeah,
he lies. That's the only weapon he has against us is to deceive us. And the reason why Jesus came to testify of the truth is so that we would know when the deception came.
Yeah. Hey, we're glad you joined us today.
If you're resonating with the conversation, hit subscribe and stay in the loop.
Got a question or a topic you'd like us to explore? Drop it in the comments. We're listening.
And remember, the Pillars podcast is not just about talking. It's about taking action.
Check the link for more.
And we are living in a time where there's deception all around us.
Everywhere.
And if we're not discerning of the truth, we're going to go astray. And so for us to fight the battle of lies that are trying to deceive and to take the hearts and minds of people in very, very real ways, to mess with their minds, to take away their peace and their joy, to disrupt societies by with deceitfulness, stealing, and not providing the needs of what people really need. There's deception all around us.
Oh, yeah.
And when we are able to discern the truth, and if we speak the truth, there's going to be a lot of battles.
Yeah.
People are going to fight us because wherever they're holding on to truth is because they want what they want, and they're willing to deceive and lie and cheat for it.
I'm thinking of this thing that happened to me considering spiritual warfare, and I'd never experienced it like this, but I got baptized back in April, and my parents had warned me. They said, "Hey, when you get baptized, the devil likes to attack you and rob you of this great thing, this great work that God is doing in your life." And so I was like, okay, just kind of expectant. And this one day, I just couldn't stop thinking about an ex-girlfriend, and it was like intoxicating. And I was like, Lord, what is going on? I know this is not of you. And I know that the devil's attacking me. Please save me from this. And it went on and on and on. I kept praying and just went out through this one day. And I had this urge and this feeling, maybe I should message her, which is obviously not the right thing. My phone's on the other side of the room. And I said, Lord, if this is not from you, then would you please just show that to me and reveal that to me? Because the spiritual warfare was so strong in my head. And supernaturally, a song started playing on my phone across the room. And it was like At the Cross by Chris Tomlin. It was a worship song started playing. And it was unbelievable. And it was like the Lord had answered my prayer right there. And it was because I had that warrior spirit. No, I got to keep going.
Yes.
Lord, show me, reveal this to me. Give me that discernment.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It was crazy.
And you actually spoke the word. You engaged with him to say, help me. I need your help.
Yeah.
Please. And he is not an idle God. I mean, I wish young men would really understand. This is not just a game we're playing. This is not just we're joining a club or something like that. This is the God of the universe who knows our name, who has a specific purpose for us. It's specific from the very foundation before he even created the earth, because he is so powerful that he sees the end at the beginning and he sees the beginning at the end. He sees it all. And that when we engage with him, he brings to bear for us, according to his purpose, the powers of heaven.
Yeah.
And if we as men understood the power that we have, and that he wants to allow us to initiate on his behalf, man, we become warriors.
Yeah.
Earlier you were talking about
encouraging.
David.
Yeah.
He's one of your favorite characters in the Bible.
He is.
Wow.
Yeah, he had one of the strongest warrior spirits.
Yeah.
And the odds were always stacked against him.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that throughout 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Yeah.
And you see it throughout the Psalms.
Mm-hmm.
And he is always, through the Psalms, you get to see what he did in that spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
What was going on in his mind.
Battles that he was going in his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all prayers and it's all communion with God. And I think that's just one of the biggest things, a part of the spiritual, the warrior spirit is like, as soon as you get attacked, you start communicating with God.
Mm-hmm. So you bring up a really good point. You talk about how he was one of the greatest warriors. In fact, he was not even allowed to build a temple for God because he had shed so much blood. He was a warrior that shed so much blood. So God said, no, I'm going to let your son do that because, you're a man of war. So he had that. But what was also revealed about this strong, dominant, powerful man of war was also this man who struggled. He struggled with a whole lot of stuff. He was broken. And so when we think about being men of warrior spirit, that warrior spirit also is the awareness that this warrior also has this gentle dependence on the God who made him. When David had sinned against God and had done something, and God was going to punish him for what he had done, that was going to be his consequence. And the prophet asks him, like, do you want to be in the hand of God for this, or do you want to be in the hand of man, where man would reap the punishment on him?
Yeah.
And David said, oh, no, far from it be. Let me be in the hands of God, because he's a compassionate, gentle God. He knew in his relationship with God over the times that he had struggled all of his life that no matter what, God is still very gentle with me, very passionate and comforting to me. And so he said, let God do what he's got to do to correct me. Yeah. But he won't overdo it. He'll do it properly.
Justly.
But a man, if I'm in the hands of a man, he might be corrupt and cause things to happen to me that would be unequal to what he would want.
Because the heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it?
Who can know it? So I love this whole idea of the warrior spirit. If we are truly going to be men of God, we have to be prepared to fight.
Yeah.
And to fight in a way that we are willing to bend our knee. One, to the King of Kings, and one, to bend our knee even in the face of opposition that we'll experience.
Yeah.
Depending on God's power and strength.
It's interesting when you say bend the knee, because it's like sometimes in those spiritual warfares, we have to get on our knees.
Amen. Right on.
Because that's how we fight.
Well, we have to start there for sure. Yes.
So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, we have to do that. So when I encourage men to be real men, I'm not trying to say, oh, it's going to be easy and nice and quiet. No, to be a real man, it's going to take a spirit that's a warrior spirit, that is willing to stand up against opposition. You got to be men. And when we understand what men are, they will stand and protect to the death. They will lay down their lives. And like you said, you're not going to run away when in this battle that you're fighting. You're not going to be the wimp and wimp out. You're going to say, hey, I'm here. I'm here for the long run.
Yeah.
Right. So stick in it for the long run. Man, you got a warrior spirit. I love that about you.
I love that we got to go over that.
Yeah. Very good. Well, we'll continue to talk about more of what it means to be a man next time on the Pillars podcast.
All right.